Now, before I go on to show you how to make the shelf for this, and I will, let's go ahead and do one quick thing to the top and the bottom of this box, and that's if you go to 3D Model, inside of an assembly file, you can still do things like add fillets. And here, if I want to go ahead and add fillets to the outside edges of this, just a little round over, this is a good time to do this. This is where in the wood shop you'd take this over to the router, and you'd router off the top and the bottom of your box to make it look nice. And let's change that from an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch and say apply. Okay, quick and easy, looks good. Now we're ready to actually make something for this, and I think instead of making something brand new, well, no, I guess we still do. Alright, so we said from one side to the other was how far? And go to inspect, distance, this edge to this edge is actually 7 inches. So we're going to go into our new part file, make another 2D sketch, and we're going to make a side for a shelf that is 7 inches long. And let's call this 1.5 deep. When we extrude this out, we'll make it a 1/4 inch thick. And we will make this out of cherry. So we'll say, instead of generic here, cherry. This is going to be our 7-inch shelf side. And we're also going to make this a 1/4 inch thick. So instead of, let's see here, distance from here to here, instead of 11 inches, we have to subtract off a 1/2 inch. So 10.5 is our other side that we're making. So we just open this back up, File, Save As, and we'll call this 10.5 inch shelf side. And we just go into our extrusion, double click sketch 1. Instead of 7, we put in 10.5. Finish our sketch, but we're not quite done with this one. This one we're going to add a dado. A dado's kind of like a rabbit. We still do this at the table saw, but instead of leaving the bottom corner open like we did there, we're going to do this from the middle. We're going to make this a 1/4 inch, or not a quarter, 1/8 inch, 0.125. And I'm going to have this line up, so I grab my vertical constraint with this bottom corner and this corner and that bottom corner and our midpoint. So it's going in a 1/4 inch and it's going up an 1/8 inch. I'm sorry, it's an 1/8 inch wide. Let's go ahead and make it from here to here about a 1/4 inch. Nah, let's make it an 1/8, 0.125. That looks good. Extrude that out, cut, distance, all. And we're going to slide in a piece of masonite in here. Okay, let's go to our jewelry box assembly. And inside of here, let's go back to our Assemble tab, Place, select both my 7-inch shelf, 7-inch shelf side and my 10.5 inch shelf side. Open. I want to place 2 of those in here. Just like the lid, I'm going to assemble these together first. So let's say constrain one of these faces to here. There we go. That's where it didn't do anything. Let's make the tops of these the same height. And that's the part we still need to do, is the backs. Oop. And it does matter which side because the inside part needs to have the dado. So let's flip it back around this way and say constrain that flush with that. Okay, we'll do the same kind of thing here. Let's mate this side to this. Ooh, maybe not though. What happened? Let's delete that flush constraint. So I selected a piece, this one, and that highlights it over here. I can right click and delete that constraint. I didn't see it was a flush. It's supposed to be a mate. So I want that mated to this. There we go. You can see it's upside down, it's facing the wrong way. It's really okay. Just when we go to flush, we have to pick this piece, and it's supposed to be flush with the underside of this, so I just flip it over and grab that and say apply. And we're going to make one more flush constraint here. We're ready for our last mate constraint. Last part to go on here is that one. I'm going to make sure that this is flush with this. And we're also going to make sure that is flush with that. Okay. Now, we need to know if this is going in an 1/8 inch on either side, then if I inspect and measure from here to here and find this is 6.5, 6.5 minus 1/4 inch is 6.25. So 625 and 10.5. We need to make one more part. So go new, part, 2D sketch, and it's 6.5 and 10.5. I think that's what I said. Unless I said 625. Let's double check first. Let me finish my sketch so I can come back and look at this again. I say distance from here to here is 6.5. I want it to be 6.25. So let's go back to this part. And I can just double click that. 6.25. Better. Extrude. This can only be an 1/8 inch, 0.125. And we're going to make this look like walnut again. It's actually not walnut, it's masonite, but it shows up in about the same color as what we want. So let's save this, and we'll call this tray bottom. We'll exit out of that, open up our assembly, which opens automatically. Nice. Assemble, place, tray bottom. And we will constrain one of these faces to this part here. We want one of these faces to attach to, I have to rotate this just a little bit more so I can see the very back of it here. And the last one, I need that face to attach here. Aha! And here I see something we did wrong. We said, not constraint, inspect. From this inside to this inside was 6.5, and instead of adding a 1/4 inch, we subtracted a 1/4 inch. So this should be 6.75, not 6.25. Let's see what that looks like. Let's double click this so we can edit. And on our original sketch, instead of 6.25, we want 6.75. When we click return, it shall snap back in place, and it looks good. Okay, on the next video, I'm going to show how to add some shelf supports in here and how to add a shelf divider, and that will be it for the assembly portion. And we still get to make a presentation view and drawings.